Welcome to Changing Rooms, brought to you by our good friends at Elect, where a few of us ex-pros bring you stories from the pitch and beyond. I'm Barrie McDermott. I will be joined every week by Adrian Morley and Shaun Lunt, legends, mates, and proof that life after rugby is full of lessons, laughs, and the odd knock-on along the way. Together we talk about challenges, change, and what keeps us moving forward on the field, at work, and in life. So let's get stuck in. So here we are. First podcast, episode 1. Have you ever done a podcast before, Moz? Veteran, aren't you?
No, I've done a couple. Did one down under with James Graham. Did one with Carla Moore, but I've only done a couple, so I'm excited.
I've only ever done the one with Stevie Ward and Mentality, and that was a couple of years ago. So
just to get it out of the way, Adrian Morley, nickname Moz.
Yes.
You haven't had any other nicknames, have you?
Not that I can repeat on the podcast there, but yeah, Adrian Morley, Moz, that was my nickname.
Shaun Lunt, Lunty.
yes, well, obviously you don't need to be a rocket science to think what rhymes with Lunt. So
Have you ever had a nickname?
well, I have, yes. I got called Meathead as a kid because I had a big head, and then it got abbreviated to Meaty. So still my mum, when I ring, and my mum will go, "Hi mate, you okay?" and stuff like that. So yeah, that's stuck with me. But thankfully,
That's an engraved nickname when your mum's calling it.
Yeah.
What about you, Baz?
Well, I'm Barry, aren't I? I've always had a shortened version of a name, but I did have a nickname. I have many nicknames that I don't like.
Is that from opposition fans?
Yeah, I didn't like them, but I think the one that I quite warmed to was given to me by Gary Mercer when we played here in your time, Oz. He's called me Barry Bike Rack. He reckoned if I lay down on my front, I have a big backside. I've still got a big backside.
Big bunda.
You could park your bike in the groove. I didn't mind that one. Yeah, I didn't mind that one. But we're here. The podcast is called Changing Rooms. We're talking about leaving the boot room, the changing room, and transitioning into another room, a boardroom or a meeting room or any kind of working environment. But this was once our working environment. Headingley, it's good to be back here.
It is good to be back here. It's changed a bit since I was here, but the facilities are fantastic and holds many special memories.
You too as well, don't it?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to, obviously I was a bit different to you guys, where you were a permanent player here, where I came on two stints of a loan deal, and I've been made to feel welcomed. You know, it's probably one of the best clubs that I've been fortunate to play at, so it's always good to come back here, and I've always felt welcomed.
Our first show, we're going to be diving into what comes at the end usually, and that's retirement and transition.
Happens to everyone.
I want to start with you, Moz, because you retired into your late 30s. Were you 37, 38?
Yeah.
When did you know it was time to retire?
So I knew that season. I knew my performances were dipping. I was still holding a place down, but I knew I wasn't having the same impact on games anymore as I used to. I used to be able to get the game by the scruff of the neck, you know, some big hits, some big runs, and it does have an effect, you know, when you're used to being really above average. And so I was 99% made up I was going to retire, and then we signed Oliver Gildart on loan from Wigan. And I used to play against his dad anyway, but then I was just earwigging. He was giving the details to the guy who does the programmes, and he gave his date of birth, and he wasn't even born when I made me debut here for Leeds. So I just thought I better at my age now and retire. But it was nice in the fact that I was going to retire that year anyway, but the coach, Ian Watson, he come up to me about a month before I retired and said, "What you do next year, Moz?" And I said, I'm going to retire. He said, "If you do great, you've had a good career, go with our blessings. However, I want you to carry on next year," because he said you're still positive influence around the place, you're still holding your position, you're still fit enough. And it was a nice moment because even though I still retired, it's nice to know that the coach wants you, rather than saying your contract's up, there's the door, see you later. It's nice to know if I didn't retire, I would have potentially had another contract there.
And sometimes it is a sharp exit. Lunty, what was your circumstances?
Yeah, so for me, it was around COVID, actually. So I'd spent 10 games back end of the 2019 season back here at Leeds. I'd an illness called sepsis, which sort of rocked me. That took everything from me in terms of my playing ability. So I knew I wasn't at the standard that I needed to be. I dropped down to League One with Batley, and then COVID hit. So for me, I was quite lucky because, again, when a lot of people retire, it's that next day everyone else is still playing rugby. But for me, it was a national hold on rugby. Nobody could play. So for me, it was a bit...
So you didn't miss it?
No, so I didn't miss it. And to be fair, when I was coming back from the injury of sepsis, my head wasn't there. I wasn't there mentally. So I was actually looking for a way out of rugby. So it sort of gave me a little back door out of rugby, you know, a bit like when I'm on a night out, throw the back door and I'm gone. So a bit like what I did to rugby league, to be fair. It was good. I sort of stepped out the back door and never played again.
You say that though, because a lot of people don't realise that it's not just you, is it? It's not just the player. It's the backroom staff. It's your mum, your dad, your wife, your kids. You're going to have to sit down with them all and say, look, I'm not feeling it anymore. How did that conversation go for you?
So for me, I don't have a lot of family around me. I'm from Cumbria, so my brother lived in Australia, my dad lived in the Isle of Man, so there was only myself, Grace, and my two boys. I think they were actually glad because I was getting to the point where I had to play on painkillers, you know, painkilling injections, and then they could, obviously you can't see it, but when you're in it, you know, they see everything that you're going through. You know, after the loss, you're down, you're grumpy, you know, you're having to go at everyone for no reason at all. So I think my wife was really pleased that, you know, I hung my boots up, you know, because I'd been through such an arduous ordeal with the sepsis. I think there was more relief than anything.
Before I get to you with the family bit, that ability to understand where you are mentally, your body's not right, you're not getting up for it, but there's an added level of stress when you get into the back end of your career and it's the, am I going to get selected?
Exactly.
Am I going to get picked? And it's awful, isn't it? The worst thing in the world is coming home to the family and saying, I'm sorry, I've ruined your weekend, I've not been picked this week.
Yeah, because everything is all around rugby. You know, as a rugby player, you live your weekends are your Mondays and your Tuesdays. You know, you can't go out drinking on a Saturday if you're playing on the Sunday. It is that, you know, not being around other people, you know, being in the same household with everyone that you're seeing day in, day out. It is a massive mental, you know, weight on your shoulders.
And Moz, Salford was your last club. So you'd have had every man and his dog asking you every week for tickets. What was it like when you had to tell everyone that, that's it, I'm done?
No, it was a relief really because you know, I played for more than 20 years as an international, and then when I did retire, my final game was at Hull KR actually, final ever club game, and then I remember the bus ride home. You know, it's a couple of hours to Hull and a few beers, but I was just sat there and a few beers. I was sat with
You've never had a few?
No, I was sat with Iraqi actually. Who I got on great with, and
nice guy.
He just kept passing me the beer. I had my lad Leo on my lap. He was about 7 or 8, but I was dead emotional. Just had me.
Why were you emotional?
Well, I just had my third kiddie a week or two before that. But you know, at the end of the game, virtually all the Salford fans stayed behind, and a lot of the OKR fans singing. There's only one Adrian Morley, and it was lovely. It was a really nice way to finish. But just coming back on the coach, I was. I don't mind admitting it. I was crying. I was happy, thinking about the career. I was sad because I knew it finished, but I was content. So them 2 hours having a beer with the Salford guys was a nice way to finish.
So just share what the next couple of weeks had in store for you, because typically at the end of the season, both of you would have a break, go on holiday, and then really quickly after a couple of weeks, you're thinking, right, I need to get back going now to make sure I hit pre-season. What were the next few weeks like, Moz? Hazy?
Yeah, very, very different. Well, because we had the newborn in the house, it wasn't not as rock and roll as you would have thought. My wife actually got poorly; she got preeclampsia, so it was tough. But when you do finish a normal season, you know you've got a month where you don't really have to train if you don't want. In fact, they actually tell you not to train just to help your body.
They didn't do that with me, Moz.
Help your body recover, and well, you've got a different metabolism to myself. But they tell you not to do anything, let your body recover, and I was doing that, but then I knew in 4 weeks' time I'd have to go back to training. So it was strange. It was a relief to myself. I said, right, I've trained all my life, 20 odd years. I'm going to abstained now, and I took about 3 or 4 months off with a baby, didn't do any training, and I thought, I've earned this, I deserve this, but then I felt absolutely terrible. I'd put weight on, and I just felt sluggish, and then as soon as I started going back to the gym, my mood brightened up and everything else. So it did have an effect, because I thought, why have I done that? Because I used to love the physical side. I used to love training when I was a professional. I thought, why have I just suddenly stopped that now? But just my mentality at the time, maybe I had to get out of my system. But as soon as I started training again, got into a routine and felt miles better, in myself.
And Lunty, try not to think about your regime now in terms of how you look after yourself. What were you like those first couple of weeks and months? Because you finished, Batley would be a part-time basis. Were you part-time? So what were you doing for a job?
So I was doing resin flooring at the time. And again, going back to COVID, so that all stopped. So probably about 6 months after retiring, I played on a game called Call of Duty, and I got addicted to it. I really did. I've got a very addictive personality. So you'd have a headset on, you'd have people from all over the country. I'd have all my mates back up home in Cumbria, and we literally used to get on there about 8 o'clock, play Call of Duty, go for some food, play Call of Duty, and I'd be on there till about 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife was not happy. We can laugh about it now.
And why do you think that was, by the way?
Well, probably looking back now, probably filling a void.
Yeah.
I was bored.
So you've swapped the pitch for...
Yeah, swapped the pitch for that. I'm part of the team. I'm playing, we're playing games. I'm banter on the mics. And it's just, I was replacing that. I get up and do something. I just replaced it with gaming. And that turned me into a slob, put on weight. Yeah. Like Moz was just saying there, felt awful. And then got to 108 kgs, and then realised that I had to sort myself out. My wife sorted me out with a job in childcare and said, right, you go do that or I'm leaving.
And did either of you, at the point where you've started to put the former career behind you, did you feel like you were missing out? You get to a game or watch it on TV or come across your mates and think, actually, I wish I were back there now.
No, the only time I missed it was I was involved at Salford on the commercial side. The only time I missed playing was on game day, when I'd have something to do in the changing room. I'd go in and you could smell the atmosphere and the tension, and I'd go in and my heart would start going like that. I thought, and then I'd have to calm myself down, thinking it's not my job that now. I leave it to these youngsters. But the only time I missed it.
Yeah, just going on that, if you retire too early, you still got that itch that you want to scratch, don't you?
And what age were you, 31?
I was 32. 32, so...
You were 37?
38.
38, sorry, yeah.
What about you?
34 I was. Right. I was absolutely shot to bits, strapped up, injections. My body had let me down, but I still thought I could do a bit more until I'd made the decision, or had it made for me. I did my last year here, and then did a short 3 or 4 month block with Widnes. I still thought it was all right until I stopped. And then, not the adrenaline, because the adrenaline only spikes for so long, but whilst you're used to managing pain, being in pain, compensating, once I'd got over the fact that I didn't have to mentally and emotionally get myself ready for the weekend, it's like, I probably needed to stop anyway. Yeah. But they reckon, don't you? You're the last one to know, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're the last one to realise.
Everyone can see
a lot of the times.
And a lot of people, well, certainly for me, I was only playing for the money. I didn't have anything else to fall back on. So I was thinking, I'm retiring. I've got 2 kids. I've got a wife. I've got to provide for. I've got bills to pay. That's why I was playing. Like I said, I've never missed a game in playing, because again, that's what I didn't miss, is the soreness, waking up after the game.
I do.
The sleepless nights.
I still miss that night.
Yeah, no, it's probably why I look a lot better than you do, man. That's why.
We'll not have a teeth competition, shall we?
I think I've already won that.
Lose, hands down.
Exactly, yeah.
There's 2 avenues I want to explore. One is the identity, as in both of you would have been Adrian or Shaun, the rugby player, and then that loss of identity. But aligned to that is the loss of structure. So being told what to do, what to wear, what time to be there, and having your full week mapped out. And for lads who grew up in a northern house and a working class mentality, you're free then at weekends when you've denied yourself the chance to go out with your mates and have a drink and enjoy what life and socialising is about. And then suddenly to be let off the lead, Moz, What was that like? So there's a couple of things there. So the loss of structure, the loss of identity, and then where was your mentality and discipline within that?
Well, we go back a long way, but as a youngster, I used to love going out, and that was my thing. But we coincided with having kids. My wild days were gone, really. So at this point, when I retired, I've got 3 kids, and I still used to like a drink, but there were a few and far between then.
So you thought to yourself, instead of, that's it, I'm off, I'm like a dog off a lead, I'm just going to dedicate myself to the rhythm of the home and the kids.
Yeah. I mean, I was still employed in rugby league, although not playing, so I was quite happy to go back to my business, but family took over me. That was my focus, really. I remember the first year I weren't playing, we booked to go away at Easter. I'd never been away at Easter in my life, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, it's a fantastic life being a professional rugby league player, but you do have to sacrifice a lot, and there's certain things you can't do, which the normal man just takes for granted. So I was happy to be on Civvy Street and just live a normal life.
Loss of structure, loss of identity, was something affected you?
So for me, for the structure, I thought I was looking forward to not having the structure, thinking that I needed it. But as you all know, being in that rugby circle, you sort of become institutionalised to rugby, and all you know is rugby. And then when I sort of, like you were saying about that, I was let off the leash, and I didn't have nobody telling me what to do, what time I was there. That's when sort of my head imploded, because I didn't have to be anywhere at a certain time. I didn't have no one telling me what to do. And I was like, all of a sudden, I'm a grown man and I've got to make my own decisions now. And that was probably the hardest part, because again, when you're in a rugby team, you've got people around you, people are making the decisions for you. So you can sort of take the coward way out and say, well, that was wrong because you made that decision. But when it's your own and you've got the autonomy of it all on yourself, that's when, it plays on you. That stress was to play on you. So for me, I need structure in my life. I still need it today, and it's implement that structure in my life and the identity. And I'm not just saying it, but for me, I don't look at myself as I was a big star. I've always admired like Moz, yourself, Kieran Cunningham's, your Paul Schoolthorpe's. In my eyes, they're the ones that are the superstars. And for me, I was just that little kid from Cockermouth that used to be a plumber that managed to achieve all of his dreams, and very fortunate. So for me, I never looked at myself as that identity. So the identity didn't bother me, but it was that structure of getting up, doing stuff. And
I want to just talk about transition now. So I always describe it as snakes and ladders, but I have to be careful because the kids look at you and go, what are snakes and ladders? You're going up, aren't you? Getting to the top of your tree, as in you were an exceptional rugby league player, good professional, somebody who was valued in the changing rooms. To the bottom, you go down a snake, and then you're in Civvy Street, and you've got a couple of different choices, haven't you? You've got to educate yourself, which means you've got to ask, which isn't always easy for us, or you just go and do a manual labouring job that gets paid whatever, 12 quid an hour, and everybody sees that as a failure. Which route did you take?
Like I said before, the wife going through COVID, because I was playing games all the time, and she said, you're getting a job. So her brother was working in childcare at the time, and there was an opening as a night worker. So I worked through the night. So I took that, and it was absolutely brilliant. That sort of got me back on track. I was working with kids that are vulnerable kids that didn't have no structure. So again, I took what I'd learned in rugby, good morals, good positive outlook, and I started channeling into them and working with those guys. So I went into the childcare industry for probably about 2 years after I played, and I learned a lot about working with vulnerable kids, but also a lot about myself as well, and just how much I'd sort of struggled through.
What was the biggest challenge for you, do you reckon?
For me, it was getting to know myself. Yeah. I was hiding behind that rugby player for so long, and then all of a sudden, I'm not a rugby player, and then I'm learning about all these kids, and I'm like, wow, I'm doing this, I've been doing that, and you sort of getting to know yourself. And again, talking about that re-education is that I had to re-educate myself and doing something new. I was taking diplomas and stuff like that I never got taught about. So it was a really tough one. And again, in a world full of people, it's a lonely place at times. I didn't have anyone to turn to. It was just myself.
It's quite intimidating going back into a classroom. People will listen to this and think, You've got X amount of Super League games. You've got all these things that you've done and you've seen and you've achieved, but scary going back into a classroom. What were you like, Moz?
Well, I was quite fortunate that I got a chance to stay in rugby league. Like, not every player gets asked to stay, and there's not that many jobs at all. It's not a huge sport, but I stayed at Salford Red Devils, my hometown, on the commercial side. Now, it wasn't something I thought I'd go into, and I'm glad I did it. Everything I've done post playing, I've learned something from it, and I've tried to better myself, and then. I coached down here at the Rhinos, coached the academy.
Under Barrie McDermott, was that?
Yes, coaching wasn't something I was ever aspired to be, but when I got an opportunity, I thought I'll try it, and I did. And there were certain parts of it I really enjoyed, so I did that for a year, and then I was a bit of a loose end really. I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to be involved in rugby really in many capacities. So, but then my best mate, he was running his recruitment company at the time, and he asked me, did I want to get involved? He just said, with your profile as an ex-rugby player, I think you'd be good at business development. So I tried that, and again, really enjoyed it. But being in an office environment, because I'd never worked in that before, it was exciting, and I was like, I'm working in an office. So, but yeah, it was good. It was different from what I was used to, but something I quite enjoyed.
I'm going to ask you last sort of question on this topic. What were the 3 things that you learned as a professional sportsman that you took into Civvy Street, you still have it in your repertoire now, that you think were the most helpful?
For me was, again, it's probably my morals, what I live by. I think rugby league is one of the toughest sport in the world. And I think if you can go out there and knock hell out of each other for 80 minutes and shake someone's hand after the game and say, well done, and then you get on with it. So my integrity is massive, my resilience. Going forward, again, there's times where, like you say, I'm playing in the middle against you big boppers in the middle, and you just relentless running it, and you just got to keep going. No matter what, you got to keep going.
Just by the way, when you go like that, just be clear that you never played against me. That's why your nose is like that.
Yeah.
And you've not no gaps in your teeth. But anyway, no,
that's because I get the turkey, that, mate. That's why I've got no gaps in my teeth. Well, I ran it in plenty of times. I went round him, that's why.
Moss, you been to Turkey?
No. There's not naturally as Baz.
3 things. So I'll get your 3 before I give you mine.
Probably just one thing really, and that's there's no substitute for hard work. So as a player, I knew I wasn't the most gifted, weren't great passer of the ball, kicker of the ball, but I knew what I was good at, and that was the bash and the badge. Like, how can I be a great or better player? So it's to be as fit as I possibly can, strong as I possibly can, big as I possibly can. So if you do that as a professional, do that in your day job, it'll take you far.
I think I've got 3 things, and you might agree with these, you might not. I've got a complete lack of fear of failure, and I think that comes down to whenever I trained, I would often train with the best players. So if it was an agility, I'd grab Rob Burrow. If it was a strength session, I'd get Big Wayne McDonald. If it was a skills session or something that was added on, I'd spend time with Kev because he had that discipline to do it. Boxing, Dave Ferner, I would literally go with the best at that. So I like failing to learn. I've got good timekeeping, Anna. You know that for somebody that's absent-minded with lots of things, I like to rest in position, and I think it comes from get back where you're supposed to be and then decide what you're doing. So I'm always get where you're supposed to be, then figure out what you've got to do. And then the last thing is I can take criticism. If I'm in the wrong, or if somebody says, do you know what, I think I've got a better way, I'd accept that. What I found is when I offered that out in Civvy Street, it wasn't always accepted, because if you point out what people are no good at,
they're wrong.
They're not really interested, are they?
Right.
So them are the 3 things I like to sort of just dwindle down and go, right, if I can stick to them, then there isn't much that phases me. So some really good stuff there, lads. I think we're going to come back, get you bits of advice for the audience, but it's time for a bit of fun. I thought we could talk about your most memorable game. Start with you, Moz.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to play in quite a few finals for my club sides, but for me, I think it's very special when you represent your country, whether that be England or Great Britain. It's always magical when you're lining up with 17 of the best players in the country and you sing the national anthem. It's pretty special. So it was down under when we played the Aussies. 2006 in the Tri-Nation, and it was against the Aussies. No one gave us a chance, and we went out there and we won a famous victory against the star-studded Kangaroos. My club coach Ricky Stewart, he was coaching the Kangaroos at the time, so it made it extra special. And it was when Willie Mason had the infamous incident when he punched Stuart Fielding, and then Jamie Peacock ran in and flattened him. But it was everything a Test match should be. It was brutal. You couldn't get away with a lot of that stuff now.
Oh,
but yeah, exactly. But it was it was magical. That's the last time an English side or Great British side has beat the Aussies. So it was great to be involved in that.
Lunt it.
For me, I've got 3. I'm going to be greedy and got 3. These are really impactful on my career. So we've got the 2009 Challenge Cup final. The year before I was at Workington, so that the sort of rise from playing in Championship 1 to then going on the biggest stage of a Challenge Cup final start. And I remember walking out, I was actually playing against Moz. And yes, you did win. I know that. I do remember. And just coming out, and it was, all I can describe it was like the gladiator scene when it comes out into the Coliseum. It was, it was a lovely hot day and it was a fantastic game, wasn't it? And I scored, I got one disallowed. So it was, the memories for me individually for that game was massive. It was, I can always remember someone telling me, I can't remember who it was, but they said it goes like a flash. That week leading up to Wembley, going down there, staying down there, enjoying the whole atmosphere. He says it's gone like that. Gone in a blink of an eye. So he said, take everything in. When you go out, have a look around at the stadium, have a look and absorb everything. And I can remember when we were walking out, we were getting led out, and I was just like looking up, and it was just amazing. It was the atmosphere, getting 10 goals, and I just, again, this young boy at the pinnacle of his dream, walking out. And yeah, unfortunately we got beat that day, but for me, for where I come from, that was amazing. That, Challenge Cup final on TV, everyone watching. And then obviously the next game, memorable for all different reasons. And it's the £1 million game when we got beat by Salford. So we playing Salford at home. We were 8 points up.
You're at Hull KR?
Yeah, Hull KR at the time. We were 8 points up and there was 4 minutes left on the clock. And they managed to score in one corner, they scored in the other corner, and they levelled it. They missed both kicks, so we went into golden point. And again, just watching Gaz O'Brien, it actually popped up on my feed the other day, him hitting that drop goal. And yeah, I remember him just hit it so sweet. And he hit it that well. He hit it from his own 45 and it's probably landed in the Humber. He hit it that well. And then he set off running. I'm stood there, everyone's in disbelief, looking at each other. I've got my wife crying, kids crying, my brother just like looking at me like this. And then you've got fans running on, fighting. And that was pretty much like a movie scene. It was something out of Walking Dead. And again, that was the last game of the season. So then that takes me on to...
I hope you win this next one.
Yes. So this is... we're always going to finish on a positive, don't worry. So I've gone positive, negative, and then positive. And it was the following year, actually. So we were playing Widnes Vikings at home, again, still at Hull KR. So we spent a year in the Championship after getting relegated. And we were playing against Widnes. And I could always remember, because... Gil Dudson had the ball and they were attacking our line, and we were winning by 2 points. And this time I should have pressured, and I clocked off this time, and he passed the ball out wide, and they would have got us, where Ryan Shaw intercepted and went full length and scored, and that put the game to bed. So I went from 12 months previous to absolute out, all the negative emotions, the anguish, the anger, and then just went to total jubilation afterwards. Remember, again, this time my kid's coming on crying in happiness this time. So, yeah, so again, them three games have had a real pivotal part on me. And why they're the most memorable ones, yes, I've been very fortunate to win a grand final against Moz. Yeah.
When I was thinking about the question, I automatically, my brain went, excuse me, to the worst moment. I don't know whether you played in 2003, Moz. You did, actually, yes. Did you play in the second game?
Yes, at home.
I started.
Yeah.
there was a set of circumstances which meant I was one-on-one with Brett Morley. I missed the tackle, scored under the sticks. We lost the second test, and it was a disaster. You cost us the first test.
Well, debatable that was.
You and Steve Ganson between you,
yeah.
and then I was around. I was culpable for the second test, so my mind automatically went to that. But you brought up a good point about Great Britain in 1994. Very similar to you, I think, Lunty. I was in a team where I was surrounded by people who were the best of the best. My heroes were on both sides, so the lads I was sat alongside and the lads I was sat against, and it was like an out-of-body experience. I was nervous, but that nervous energy just turned into excitement and determination. I started on the bench. I just wanted to get on the field. I just wanted to rip in. I was 22, I think. Yeah, 22, 94.
Because you come from nowhere, because I'll be honest, I'd never heard of Barrie McDermott, playing at Oldham. And I thought, who's this guy? Anyway, I was pleased what I saw, because he brought a bit of aggression and confrontation to
I didn't have a clue what to do. So Ellery Hanley, who was my coach, Ellery just put his arm around me and he says, I just need you to be as good as you can be today. Do what you're good at. He said, when you've got the ball, I want you to get the meters, play your ball quick, make some space and time for people outside you. When they've got the ball, just have some fun, Barry. Just get stuck in, which I obliged and I enjoyed it.
Stuck in a bit too much.
I enjoyed it. And it's funny. So 2 weeks before I played for Wigan, and very, very, when I look at it now, I don't regret anything, but it was
Suriname.
Yeah, I think I'd have got locked up, I'd have got sent to jail now, and I've caught him. But I got on the pitch, and the first carry I've got, I can see Paul Harrigan, Paul Sirinen, Glenn Lazarus in front of me. I'm like, there's no hiding here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to get it out of the way. And I ran as hard as I could, and I ended up going through the other side. So my boost was like, I can do this. I'm all right on this arena. So favourite game. I think yours is a special game. You've got all those memories around it, but inevitably, you mentioned Rob there, there's always a little moment that takes the edge off it. There's always a moment that brings a bit of humour to it. Sometimes it's dark humour. What's your funniest memory?
Well, probably, like I say, funniest memory was probably more comical than anything. It was actually, again, going back to the 2012 grand final, there was myself, Magsy, Callum Watkins. We sat at the coffee shop opposite the hotel where we were staying. It was the morning of the grand final, and we're all just sat there having a talk. And Magsy brought up about this guy that was giving him some stick on Twitter, and I was like, "Is it such and such by any chance?" He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh my god!" I said, "I've had the same problem with him, right?" So what happened was, signed here, I played against Wigan down here, and they were beating us. So I've jumped out, tried to kick the ball over. Brett Finch caught it and scored, and he's giving me a load of crap after it, right? So as I do, I'm one for revenge, so I've sat on that. He's hammered me, and then later on in that year, we played Wigan at Huddersfield in the semi-final of the Challenge Cup, and we beat them. So there's me chirping up against him, giving him some crap, and thought I got my own back. All died down until these guys beat us in the Challenge Cup final. Again, chirping away. He got me back, so I was just like, I can't get away from him. And then it was the semi-final of the grand final, and we played Wigan at Wigan.
Yeah,
I can always remember it because I started at 9 because Magsy got banned for that game.
Yeah,
Rob and Kev were 6 and 7. So we beat them, and I got my phone out about to bag him, and I was like, no, I can't do that. No, keep that in your pocket, right? So put it back in my pocket, forgot about it, and then obviously a week later we played these guys, beat them in the Challenge Cup, and sent him a picture with me holding the trophy and the caption, "He who laughs lasts the longest." So that was my little sort
Did you find out who it was?
He was actually a Cumbrian as well.
Was it?
Yeah, one of my mates, Lee Mossop, that used to play for Wigan Warriors, he knew of him. So yeah, he was just a mouthy get from Cumbria.
Ignore keyboard warriors.
Exactly.
That's the advice.
Well, that's what I learned.
Yeah,
I learned that. Yeah.
And as well, another good piece of advice: don't engage with imbeciles because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. That's what I got taught. So, Moz, I know you'll have loads of funny stories. You played in some incredible teams, but always around big characters.
Yeah, big characters. I mean, rugby league, it's quite an extreme sport. played by extreme people. So a lot of the lads are quite daft, shall we say? But yeah, probably my favourite teammate was Terry Newton. Really, as tough as he was, as good as a player he was an out-and-out joker as well. But he knew when to flick the switch and be serious, and he knew when to have a laugh. But my funniest story about Teddy was he didn't even mean to be funny on this instance. So we all used to get our mouth guards made at the start of the season. You know the story, and we got to. He didn't try it on during the weekend. We got to the game. So I seen Teddy messing about with his mouth guard. And it didn't fit, and he just kept falling out. And what they used to have was glue to spray in your hands, and it helps you catch the ball, stops you knocking. Anyhow, he went into the showers, and I heard tss, tss, and he heard anyhow, Terry come out, he had glue all around his mouth. He sprayed glue in his mouth guard. It's all right now, I'm ready to play. But everyone, no one could warm up for laughing. But then we played the game, we got the win. But yeah, so that was his.
Great lad. Nasty,
yeah. Got a bit of nastiness in him there, that lad.
But I'd say when you think about the game that's played now, he'd fit in the modern game, wouldn't he? Because he was smart and sharp.
Oh, he could do everything. As tough and as ruthless as he was, and you're right, nasty. He had so much skill and so tough as well. And it's 15 years last week since we lost Terry. Sorely missed. Great guy, best mate in the game.
That was brilliant. I could do this all day, but I think it's time to wrap things up. We had a great chat earlier about retirement and transition. Let's go back to that and get some takeaways from the audience. Start with you, Moz. Was it a feeling of emptiness or freedom when you come to the end of your career?
It was freedom, really, Barry. As much as I loved my career, I wouldn't change anything. It was fantastic, but when it does come to an end, it's a relief, and it's just like, yeah, I don't have to train now, I don't have to play now. There's no pressure, which were all great. Don't get me wrong, but you know, at that stage and that time in my life, I was happy to be free.
Emptiness or freedom?
Again, freedom at first, and then again we always mourn what we don't have. We complain about being told what to do, when to be there, but then I realised that I thrived from that, getting up and doing nothing and playing. There's only so much Call of Duty you can play until you get bored again, and then you want that structure back in your life. So for me, it was just really sort of a really awkward feeling. I didn't know how to respond at times and whatnot. So, but now I've got over that stage, and now I'm working now and getting into the next chapter of my career and embracing it as well, and looking at it like I did when I first started out as rugby, that it's a new chapter, a new beginning, and cracking on.
You put it on record that after that period, there was a transitional period, but there was a recognition that you needed to retrain, re-educate. What advice would you have for people who are looking at a change of jobs, a change of roles? They'd have to upskill or upgrade themselves to perhaps leaving school and going on to further or higher education. What advice would you give people?
Go into any new experience open-minded. Don't be blinkered, and go in it and attack it with a bit of gusto and a bit of enthusiasm. We are fortunate, having previous experience with Rugby League. There's a lot of transferable skills in Rugby League into the working life. So find out, search what you're good at, what your superpower is, and then just transfer that and try and apply that into your new role.
Then lastly, what advice would you give to people who are transitioning? Because this has all been about transitioning from a player to the working environment. It might be somebody that's leaving school, not doing A-levels, going on to an apprenticeship, reached a certain level, but needs to go back in and upskill and upgrade themselves and educate themselves. What advice would you give people listening on that regard?
I think it's okay to be scared of that challenge. It's a daunting challenge. It is. I've been there myself. It's embracing being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. That's when we learn, through hard times, that's when we grow. And if you can flip your mindset around it, the glass is half full rather than half empty, and embrace it and really challenge yourself to grow, and just apply that to something new and enjoy. And you might just like it too.
Moz, you've had to do something similar, transitioning from a player an environment at Salford in a management role, and then coming to be a coach, and then with the jobs and roles that you've got now. What's your advice to people who have a challenge around education, upskilling or upgrading themselves? And let's be honest, when they're in an environment where they're a little bit intimidated and they may be hesitant in asking questions.
Yeah, so go into any experience with an open mind. My old coach, Dean Bell, used to say, I don't believe in luck, but the harder you work, the luckier you get. And it always stuck with me that. So I always worked really hard. So my advice is work hard and see how far that gets you, whether that's training, playing, or any different role. Work hard and see how far it gets you.
Some really good stuff there, lads. And I'd only probably ask that never be afraid to ask a question. And ultimately, if you go at it with an energy, a passion and a drive and an enthusiasm, I think people will recognise that and want to help you along your way. It's been a pleasure to dig into some big topics today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your honesty. We'll do it again sometime soon, eh?
We certainly will, Baz.
Definitely.
So if you're watching or listening, subscribe or like or whatever tickles your fancy.